Look who finally showed up for family dinner. Dad smirked as I walked into our weekly gathering. How's that little business of yours going? Still selling things online? I smoothed my deliberately modest dress, no need to show the Chanel label, and took my usual seat at the far end of the table. The seat reserved for the family disappointment. It's going fine, I replied, watching Mom arrange her social media perfect table setting. Everything had to look just right for her #blessed #family dinner post. Fine isn't paying bills, Dad lectured, cutting into his steak. Your brother James is closing million-dollar deals at his firm. That's real business. James puffed up with pride. Actually, we're meeting with investors next week. Looking for $2 million in expansion capital. He smirked at me. You know, real money, not the pocket change from your little online shop. If they only knew that my little online shop had evolved into a venture capital firm with over $500 million in investments. That their precious James had been unsuccessfully trying to get a meeting with my company's investment board for months. Speaking of which, Mom chimed in, arranging her plate for a photo. James needs to borrow your old laptop. His presentation computer crashed. The one you said was a waste of money? I raised an eyebrow. The gaming laptop you told me no serious businessperson would ever need? Just because you got lucky with some online sales doesn't make you a tech expert, James snapped. I need it for actual business. I thought about the 3 MacBook Pros in my office, the private server farm I owned, and the tech company I just acquired last week. Sure, take it. It's in my old room. Mom brightened. While you're there, I've been thinking of turning your room into a home office for James. He needs a proper space to work when he brings deals home. Of course he does. I sipped my water, thinking about my penthouse office overlooking the city. The same building where James would be pitching to investors next week. My phone buzzed, a message from my investment director. Thompson Brothers pitch meeting confirmed. They don't know you're the potential investor. Still want to maintain anonymity? Absolutely, I texted back. Let them pitch their hearts out. When are you going to get a real job? Dad demanded, noticing my texting. Your brother worked his way up properly. Started in the mailroom, now he's bringing in serious investors. That's how you build a real business. James nodded sagely. You can't build success selling trinkets online. We're talking serious capital here. $2 million is just the starting point. $2 million. I couldn't help but smile. That's ambitious. Don't mock your brother, Mom scolded. At least he has a real office, not a laptop on a coffee table. If they could see my real office with its floor-to-ceiling windows and private elevator. If they knew that their son's big investor meeting was actually with me. You know, James said condescendingly, if you're nice, maybe I'll let you sit in on the investor meeting. Show you what real business looks like. Dad beamed. That's generous of you, son. She could learn something. Thanks, I said quietly, but I already have a meeting that day. Let me guess, James laughed. Another craft fair? Or is it a social media marketing seminar this time? My phone buzzed again. Due diligence complete on Thompson Brothers. Numbers don't look good. High-risk investment. I smiled, typing back. Keep the meeting. I want to hear their pitch personally. Well, I stood up, declining Mom's offer of dessert. I should go. Got some online orders to pack. That's your problem, Dad called after me. No ambition. While your brother is meeting with millionaire investors, you're playing shop on the internet. Walking to my car, the modest one I drove to family events, not the Bentley in my garage, I thought about next week's meeting. About James's face when he realized who the mystery millionaire investor really was. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's letting them prove themselves wrong in front of exactly the right audience. The day of the investor meeting arrived, and I sat in my private observation room, watching through one-way glass as James and Dad prepared their presentation in the conference room. They'd been waiting for 30 minutes, exactly as I'd instructed my team. The mystery investor is very particular, my assistant had told them. They like to observe presentations before entering. James kept adjusting his tie, the same one he'd bragged about at Sunday dinner. A real businessman's tie, he'd said, mocking my online shopping hobby. Dad was pacing, practicing his speech about family business values. The same values that had led them to dismiss my business acumen for years. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom. James is meeting his big investor. So proud of my son, a real entrepreneur. #blessed, #proud mama. I smiled, thinking about the stack of documents in my briefcase. The real numbers behind Thompson Brothers' success. The audit reports. The credit checks. The long list of rejected loan applications from other investors. Miss Chin, my assistant's voice came through the intercom. They're getting anxious. Should we proceed? Give them 5 more minutes, I replied, watching James sweat through his expensive suit. Let them simmer. Finally, I stood, straightened my Armani power suit, and picked up my briefcase. Showtime. The conference room door opened and I walked in. The look on their faces was priceless. James actually dropped his presentation clicker. Sarah. Dad's voice cracked. Good morning, gentlemen. I sat at the head of the table, spreading out their company documents. Shall we discuss your pitch? This is a joke, James sputtered. You can't be. Where's the real investor? You're looking at her. I gestured to my assistant, who distributed copies of Thompson Brothers' real financial statements, not the inflated versions they'd prepared. Though after reviewing your numbers, I have some concerns. Dad found his voice. Now wait a minute. We were promised a meeting with Chin Capital's principal investor. You got one. I smiled. Chin Capital, named after me. The same little online business you've been mocking for years. James's face had turned an interesting shade of red. But you sell things on the internet. Actually, I built an e-commerce platform that I sold for $40 million 3 years ago. That was my seed money for Chin Capital. I pointed to their financial statements. Unlike Thompson Brothers, which appears to be bleeding money on vanity projects and inflated salaries. Those numbers are confidential. James protested. Not from your potential investor. I pulled out more documents. Like these expense reports. A company claiming to need expansion capital shouldn't be leasing luxury cars and maintaining country club memberships. Dad leaned forward. Princess, let's talk about this. We're family. Family. I raised an eyebrow. Like when you wanted to turn my room into James's home office. Or when you mocked my business at every family dinner. That was different. He started. No, it wasn't. And neither is this. I opened my laptop, displaying their complete financial history. Your company has been rejected by 12 other investment firms. Your growth projections are fantasy. Your current contracts are all underperforming. James slumped in his chair. How do you know all this? Because I do proper due diligence. That's how I built a successful investment firm while you were buying expensive ties and calling yourself an entrepreneur. I stood up, gathering my documents. Chin Capital will have to pass on this investment opportunity. However, I pulled out one final paper. I am interested in acquiring your client list. At a fair market value, of course. You want to buy us out? Dad whispered. Your clients, yes. Your company. I glanced at their numbers again. Has little value beyond that. The silence in the room was deafening. James's perfect tie had come loose. Dad's confident posture had crumbled. Take the weekend to think it over, I said, walking to the door. Oh, and James, you can keep my old laptop. Consider it a parting gift from your little sister playing business. Sunday dinner the following week had a very different atmosphere. Mom wasn't taking photos for social media. James wasn't bragging about deals. Dad wasn't giving business lectures. I arrived exactly on time, wearing one of my normal outfits. A Prada suit that cost more than their monthly mortgage. No more hiding who I was. How nice of you to join us, Mom said weakly, her Instagram perfect table setting noticeably absent. We saved your usual seat. Actually, I set my designer handbag on the table. I think I'll take the head of the table tonight. Since I'm now the family's primary breadwinner. James choked on his water. The buyout papers for Thompson Brothers' client list were still fresh on his desk. The check I'd written still uncashed. About that, Dad started. Princess, we should discuss. My investment firm's decision? I pulled out my iPad, displaying their company's real numbers. Or perhaps you'd like to discuss how you've been inflating revenue figures for the past 3 years. Mom gasped. James, you said the business was thriving. It was, he protested. Just, not on paper. Not anywhere, I corrected, scrolling through their financial history. 8 failed loans, 3 pending lawsuits from unhappy clients, and a credit rating that makes teenagers with their first credit card look responsible. We can explain, Dad began. No need. My forensic accounting team already explained everything. I accepted the wine Mom offered, noting it was the expensive bottle they usually saved for James's celebrations. Though I am curious about one thing. All those times you mocked my little online business, did you ever actually look up what I do? Silence answered my question. A simple Google search would have shown you Chin Capital's portfolio. Our investments in tech, real estate, renewable energy. I smiled. Even that country club you love bragging about. I own it now. James slumped further in his chair. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I laughed. Like you told your investors the truth about Thompson Brothers? Besides, watching you pitch to me without knowing was educational. So what happens now? Mom asked quietly. Now. I pulled out 4 envelopes. Now we discuss your futures. They took the envelopes with trembling hands. Mom opened hers first, gasping at the contents. These are your options, I explained. Mom, your social media influencer career can continue working for my company's marketing department, with proper oversight. Dad, your business expertise might be useful in our smaller acquisitions team, entry level of course. And James. He looked up from his envelope, face pale. A junior analyst position. In our due diligence department. You clearly need to learn how real financial analysis works. And if we refuse? Dad asked. Then you can explain to your country club friends why you lost your memberships. And to your business contacts why you're no longer welcome in any building my company owns. I sipped my wine. Which is most of them. Mom dabbed at her eyes with her napkin. Why are you doing this? Because success isn't about fancy ties or social media posts or inflated egos. It's about hard work, integrity, and actually understanding business. I stood up, gathering my things. You have until tomorrow to decide. Oh, and one more thing. They looked up at me, these people who had dismissed and mocked me for years. I'm keeping my old room. It'll make a nice storage space for my awards and magazine covers. I headed for the door, then turned back. By the way, James, that businessman's tea you love so much? It's a knockoff. Like everything else about your business persona. The door closed behind me on their stunned silence. In my car, the Bentley this time, I checked my phone. Another text from Mom. Please, can we talk about this as a family? I smiled, typing back. We are talking about it as a family. A family where I'm the CEO and you're all entry-level employees. Welcome to real business. Sometimes success isn't about proving your worth to others. It's about letting them discover their own worth isn't what they thought it was.